This video is about writing the equations of a line of a perpendicular bisector. So in order to write the equation of a perpendicular bisector, we have to find the point that it passes through. Remember that perpendicular bisector divides a segment into two congruent parts, so it passes through the midpoint of the segment. Since the perpendicular bisector is also perpendicular, we need to find the slope of the original, and then we need to take the opposite reciprocal of that slope. Then we have our point and our slope, so we can write it into point slope form. So in number one, we have triangle ABCDE is the perpendicular bisector of AB. So we have a line that doesn't have either point on the triangle that's passing through AB. So it doesn't matter which one we call D and E, so we'll just label those. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to find the midpoint of the segment they told us that it's passing through. So we need to find the midpoint of AB because it's a bisector of AB. So in order to find my midpoint, remember that you are adding your coordinates together. So we want the midpoint of AB. So we have x plus x divided by 2, and the y coordinate plus the y coordinate divided by 2. Negative 2 plus 8 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. 9 plus negative 1 is 8, divided by 4, or divided by 2 is 4. So our midpoint is 3, 4. We also need the slope, and remember, since it's a perpendicular bisector, we're first going to find the slope of AB. So y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So in this case, we get 10 over negative 10, which means our slope is negative 1. Now, if we're using the slope of a perpendicular bisector, we need to know the perpendicular slope, which is the opposite reciprocal. So the opposite reciprocal of negative 1 is positive 1. So we're going to use that point and the perpendicular slope to write our equation. So y minus 4 equals 1 times x minus 3. Number 2, a segment has endpoints A and B. Write the equation of the perpendicular bisector. So in this case, we only have a line with 2 points, A and B, and we have a perpendicular bisector that passes through AB. So with the information given from AB, we need to first find the midpoint of AB. So to find our midpoint, we're going to add the coordinates together. So 5 plus negative 1 over 2, negative 3 plus 7 over 2. 5 plus negative 1 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. Negative 3 plus 7 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. Then we need to find our slope of AB. So y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Remember, it doesn't matter which one is x2 and y2. So we get 10 over negative 6, and that reduces to negative 5/3. Remember that we want the perpendicular slope, so we're going to take the opposite reciprocal. So we flip our fraction to become 3/5, and it's positive since the original slope was negative. Now that I have my point and my perpendicular slope, I can write my equation. So y minus the y coordinate equals my slope times x minus the x coordinate. So we would have y minus 2 equals 3/5 times x minus 2. Number 3, a segment has endpoints A and B again. So we're going to draw our picture AB, and we have a perpendicular bisector passing through it. So in order to get the equation of the perpendicular bisector, we need the midpoint first of AB. So remember, midpoint, you're adding your x coordinates and dividing by 2, adding your y coordinates and dividing by 2. So we get 7, negative 5. Then I need to find my slope of AB before I can find the perpendicular slope. So y2 minus y1 and x2 minus x1. So we get negative 10 over 4, which reduces to negative 5/2. If I'm doing the perpendicular slope, remember it's the opposite reciprocal, so I'm flipping my fraction and making it positive. So now I'm going to use my midpoint and the perpendicular slope to write my equation. So y plus 5 equals 2 over 5 x minus 7.